A big breaking news coming in at this hour. The Spanish state prosecutor has moved charges against Catalan leaders. The prosecutor has moved charges of rebellion, sedition and misuse of public funds as Catalan leaders said they will defy Madrid government's orders. I'm joined by our senior editor, Palki Sharma, to talk more on this and get more perspective. A big development indeed, Palki.
Yes, and on unexpected lines, the Spanish public prosecutor was expected to press charges against President Carles Puigdemont and others for instigating people to defy the government in Madrid. In fact, these main civic groups which were behind the pro-independence campaign have been telling public servants, including teachers, hospital workers, firefighters and the police, that they should refuse orders from Madrid. Remember, on Friday, the government in Madrid under President Rajoy took direct control of Catalonia, curtailing its autonomy and announced a snap election on the 21st of December. Now, Mr. Puigdemont and others on his team say that only the people of Catalonia can ask them to go because they were elected in a democratically held election and only the people can ask them to leave. So there is a lot of ambiguity, Raghavendra, because the leaders, the pro-independence leaders, have not come out in full force and defied Spain. But at the same time, it's interesting to note that this is Monday morning in Spain, in Catalonia, and most people have turned out to work. So they've defied that call for civil disobedience, and that shows that the movement may be waning, the public support for independence may be waning in Catalonia.
Right, but this seems like an escalation in this ongoing controversy, and this issue seems to have spiraled into something very, very major. Now, what could be the implication? Is there a real possibility of the Spanish government trying to arrest and prosecute Carles Puigdemont?
There is a very real possibility that he and others on his team may be arrested. But what's good to note is that there is no indication that it will spark the kind of violence that we saw on the 1st of October, the day the referendum was held, which the Spanish courts have declared as illegal. So what's also important to note is that Catalonia is one of the richest regions in Spain. And for those who have not followed the story, the chaos and the uncertainty over the past few weeks have hurt businesses, which have now, it seems, thrown their lot behind the government in Madrid. And they want normalcy to be restored, which is why they want things to go as normal, and which is why it seems that Mr. Puigdemont will find it more difficult to find public support. And yes, there's a very good chance that he and others may be arrested on charges of civil disobedience.
Also, Palki, is there a possibility of the Spanish government actually using force in sending in its forces to crush whatever remnants there may be of this so-called independence move and referendum?
The Spanish government did send police forces when the referendum was held, but as I said, the things are mostly normal. Offices are running as scheduled. Life is going on as normal. What's interesting to note, Raghavendra, is that while these pro-independence leaders aren't out and out defying Spain anymore, and they're waiting and watching, Carles Puigdemont himself, I understand, put out a picture of himself working in the regional government on Instagram. There's nothing to suggest that this picture is from today. Many other leaders have told their supporters and their staff to not report for work, to defy orders from Spain. So that's the best they can do. There is nothing on the streets. Yesterday, we did see a huge rally, which was for a unified Spain. So I don't think it'll come to that anymore, that Spain will have to use force against the public. Right. But yes, some of the leaders may be rounded up.
Right. Thank you so much, Palki, for joining us with those updates and perspective. That was our associate editor, Palki Sharma Upadhyay, joining us from the newsroom. Moving on, British Prime Minister Theresa May on Sunday called for tougher rules governing MPs' conduct. This after a government minister was accused of asking his secretary to buy sex toys. Expressing her concern in a letter to the House of Commons, May said current disciplinary procedures lack the required teeth. She added that this situation cannot be tolerated any longer and is unfair on the staff. May's letter was prompted by allegations against Mark Garnier by his former secretary. On Sunday, Caroline Edmondson said Garnier gave her money to buy toys from a London sex store in 2010. The Cabinet Office will investigate if Garnier's behavior violated ministerial codes of conduct. Hundreds of women gathered in central Paris on Sunday to denounce sexual harassment. Demonstrations took place across the country inspired by the Me Too movement. Protesters brandished placards reading "Justice for Women" and "What part of no don't you understand?" A worldwide social media campaign was born in the wake of allegations of sexual abuse against Harvey Weinstein. The French government is currently holding nationwide consultations about a law that will include steps to fight sexual harassment on the streets, as well as extend the degree of limitation for rape of minors.
On l'espère, c'est vrai que la libération de la femme, ça date pas d'il y a si longtemps que ça. Il faut qu'on grignote peu à peu notre droit à exister dans l'espace public. Et je pense qu'aujourd'hui, oui, les femmes, parce qu'elles sont ensemble, parce qu'on est beaucoup plus fortes ensemble et que c'est beaucoup plus facile quand on fait masse, se sentent prêtes à témoigner, se sentent prêtes à se mobiliser ensemble autour de cette question-là. Ouais.
Multi-Oscar-winning actor Kevin Spacey has come out as a gay and issued an apology to American actor Anthony Rapp, who has accused Spacey of sexual assault. In an interview with BuzzFeed, Rapp publicly alleged that Spacey befriended Rapp in 1986 while they both performed on Broadway shows. He invited Rapp over to his apartment for a party and at the end of the night tried to sexually assault him. After the accusations, Spacey took to Twitter and issued a statement saying that he owed Rapp a sincere apology for what he said would have been deeply inappropriate drunken behavior. After allowing women to drive, the Saudi Arabian authorities will permit women to attend sports events in stadiums from next year. According to a report, the report suggests that Saudi families will be allowed into stadiums in the cities of Riyadh, Dammam and Jeddah. The move is seen as part of Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman's Vision 2030 to modernize the Saudi society and give more freedom to women. According to reports, Saudi authorities have begun preparations in the 3 stadiums to accommodate families from early 2018. The women in Saudi Arabia still face strict gender segregation. Art has often been a symbol of resistance, and a Palestinian graffiti artist going by the alias Lush is trying to draw the attention of people to the cause of the Palestinian people. A giant graffiti painted by Lush shows US President Donald Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu sharing a lip lock, symbolic of closeness of America with Israel. Lush's piece of contemporary art on a barricade erected by Israel around parts of Bethlehem in the occupied West Bank is being viewed as a symbol of resistance.
I think the situation here for centuries has been all over the place, and it unfortunately doesn't look like it's going away anytime soon. But it's sad the individuals here that obviously are stuck in an indoor prison, you know.
بلفت انتباهنا كثير شغلات بترتسم على الجدار، خاصة من الفنانين هذول المهمين زي بانكسي زي هذا لوش، انهم بيجوا بودوا يعني من خلال هذا الجدار بيبعثوا رسائل للعالم انه يوقفوا الظلم، يوقفوا الاضطهاد الشعوب، بكفي لكل قيادة العالم اللي بتحكم العالم، مش بس امريكا، انه وقفوا الظلم من مكان بيعيش فيه الشعب الفلسطيني تحت اقوى ظلم قاهر في العالم، الشعب الفلسطيني بيعيشه.
The first arrest in connection with the alleged Russian hacking during 2016 presidential elections in the US could take place today. Reports suggest that the grand jury has charged one person in connection with the probe. The indictment has been sealed by a federal judge pending arrest. Last week, a US grand jury probing whether Russia helped Donald Trump during presidential elections approved first criminal charges. The investigations are led by former FBI Director Robert Mueller. So far, there has been no confirmation over who is charged or what charges might be alleged against the accused. Meanwhile, President Trump has described the probe as a witch hunt. The Russia hacking probe has cast a shadow over Trump's 9-month-old presidency and widened the rift between Republicans and Democrats. The Trump administration is working on a nuclear weapons policy that is intended to make a decisive end to the era of post-Cold War disarmament. The United States is set to bolster the arsenal and loosen the conditions under which it would be used. A draft on the new Nuclear Posture Review, also known as the NPR, was presented in September at a White House meeting between Donald Trump and his top national security advisors. The document is still being debated with a target for completion by the end of this year or the beginning of the next. Among the few elements under consideration are a low-yield ballistic missile intended to deter Russia's use of a small nuclear weapon in a war over the Baltic states. The NPR also proposes to bring back nuclear Tomahawk sea-launched cruise missiles which were dropped from the arsenal in 2013. The new policy, if approved, will wipe out the legacy of former President Barack Obama, who in a major speech in April 2009 had committed the US to disarmament and elimination of nuclear weapons, while Trump has repeatedly voiced his intentions to build up the US arsenal. North Korea has dropped propaganda flyers over the South Korean capital Seoul, calling US President Donald Trump dotard and mentally ill. The propaganda leaflets were dropped by balloons and are considered as a response to Trump calling North Korean leader Kim Jong-un a rocket man during last month's UN General Assembly address. The pictures of the leaflets were posted on Twitter by Reuters North Korea correspondent James Pearson. The fresh propaganda flyers follow another drop earlier this month when pamphlets showing cowlish depictions of Donald Trump and South Korean President Moon Jae-in were dropped over demilitarized zone. The tensions on the Korean peninsula rose after a series of missile tests by isolated North Korea and threat of an attack on Pyongyang by US President Donald Trump. Bahrain's foreign minister has said he will not attend the upcoming Gulf Cooperation Council summit if Qatar does not change its stand. The Bahraini foreign minister Khalid bin Ahmed Al Khalifa also called for freezing Qatar membership in GCC. Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, the United Arab Emirates and Egypt severed diplomatic, transport and trade ties with Qatar, accusing it of supporting terrorism and having friendly relations with Iran. Doha vehemently denies these charges as baseless. Earlier, US Secretary of State Rex Tillerson said Saudi Arabia is not yet ready to begin direct talks with Doha to resolve nearly 5-month-old diplomatic standoff. Amidst the Kurdish crisis, Iraqi Kurdish leader Massoud Barzani has decided to step down. In a televised address on Sunday, which was his first since Iraqi forces launched an offensive to recapture Kurdish-held territory, Barzani said he would not extend his presidential term after November 1st under any conditions.
رفراندوم کردوها به بهانه که انفال کراین کیمیاباران کراین کمال کش کراین هر چند موقع پیش است از دیکان که کمال کش کران نان بر کرا ام گله آیا وقت کس باسی رفراندومی کرده بود؟
Barzani's address followed a letter he sent to Parliament in which he asked members to take measures to fill the resulting power vacuum. A majority of 70 Kurdish MPs voted to accept Barzani's request and 23 opposed it. There was high drama at Kurdish Parliament on Sunday as it met to approve the leader's resignation. Armed protesters stormed the Parliament building as the session was in progress, while some MPs were barricaded in their offices. Gunshots were heard and some demonstrators warned to punish the MPs who they said had insulted Barzani. Some attacked journalists at the scene. That's all for now, but before we go, Halloween has gone to the dogs in Peru. Pampered pooches battle it out for best dressed in trick and treat fashion in Lima. Take a look.